Okay. So we'll wait for people to appear. Yes, I think any question you can ask. Yes, go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I am very much interested in linguistics, and I have been doing courses related to linguistics. And like yesterday only, I gave the exam of phonetics and phonology, a broad overview. So, ma'am, actually, I think I have done well, but only time will tell if I am, I have talked or something like that. So, I would very much like to know, ma'am, if there are any internship opportunities. If I am, because I have three courses this semester. One is phonetics and phonology. Second one is uh, language, this course, cognitive perspective, right? And another one is modern Indian writing and translation. So I had also enrolled for bilingualism, but it got a bit hectic. So I had to, I dropped out of that. But I have registered for these two exams. So, ma'am, I was wondering because I wish to study linguistics in college. So, ma'am, is it would be very much helpful for my application if I am getting some resume based on my performance of my exam. Because, yes, ma'am.
Amanji, may I know what you are doing right now? I mean, you are
Yes, so ma'am, I am a
student.
student right now. Ma'am, I am a student as of now, and I am focusing on a field of linguistics and translation studies. So I have a B2 in Spanish and a B1 in French. So here I was thinking of studying, but the professors at Instituto Cervantes and Alliance Francaise, they said that the environment is not very good, so you should, apply to US colleges. So there, ma'am, it is very, very competitive. There is not just entrance exam. You have to have a whole extracurricular activity. You have to, build your profile. So I have started my
Right.
YouTube channel as well of French and Spanish. So slowly, by the end of next year, I'm hoping to build a profile, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, matlab, you are right now doing your graduation, as in BA or something?
No, ma'am, I have taken, ma'am, gap year,
Masters
ma'am. I have taken gap year, ma'am.
after your graduation.
No, no, after my 12th, ma'am.
Okay. So yeah, that's nice that you are taking up so many different courses. So what do you want? What kind of help do you want from me?
Ma'am,
I
actually,
mean, what?
because I think you and Miss Shakuntala Mahanta.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am. So
yes.
I'm
Huh.
taking courses from both of them. And last year also, what I did was I enrolled for applied sociolinguistics. That course was there, Introduction to Sociolinguistics, by I think Gautam Budh
Mm-hmm.
University, and Applied Linguistics by Rajesh Kumar sir. So I did that, but it again, I had no background in linguistics, nothing. So it got overwhelming very quickly. So I had to drop out. So this year,
Mm-hmm.
second semester also, I'm going to do. I'm going to, because I have a base now in phonetics. I have a base now in cognition and linguistics. So I think I will be able to, better tackle it. So, ma'am, I would like to know if there are, once I have the base with me, are there any internship opportunities with you or something which I can, with which that would help my resume or my application for colleges, ma'am?
Yes, there are, but I think this is not exactly the platform that we can discuss. I do have internship positions, but typically that is for students who have done their masters already in
Okay.
linguistics or or related subjects. So even psychology or cognitive science. So that
Okay.
is typically the pattern for my lab.
Okay.
Yes, but yeah.
Uh-huh. And ma'am, if I am interested, so can you give me a suggestion that what should I study? Like, let's say by the end of for the winter session, like what courses should I take? Because I am also taken, ma'am, 1 2 courses from Coursera, that is Introduction to Linguistics, and I have also started that European Indo-European linguistics. There is a course related to that as well.
Okay, I think you are well on your way to learn actually quite a lot of variety. But then linguistics, you see, it's a very quite a broad area. So while you are doing phonetics from Professor Mahanta, and then I'm doing this language cognition, and then sociolinguistics applied. So you have already covered quite a bit of a ground. I think we're on the right track, absolutely on the right track. Just look at the other. Also depends on, later on you might have to choose a field for your specialization.
Okay.
So that way, if you look around as to what kind of specialization you might later on want to go ahead, you can choose your courses accordingly. So that is what I all I can tell you at this point. But because this is you are looking for undergraduate enrollment in US,
Yes, ma'am.
so that at this level it's okay. You are, I think, doing perfectly fine. You just look around for any other more varieties, and also it could be a good idea to do a bit of statistics because linguistics, if you are taking any of the subfields of linguistics which is data driven, then it will be a good thing to have, a good skill to have, because you're going to need statistics, basic simple statistics. 1 or 2 courses maybe you can do along with linguistics. That will put you at an advantageous position.
Okay. And ma'am, if do you have any suggestions for me? Like, if I want to get an internship with not with you, but with any other professor, like from another university or something like that. So, what would you recommend me to study? Like any book list or any courses or something like that, ma'am?
I do not know. I mean, individual professors have their own, preferences. So you can talk to Professor Mahanta also if she is interested in having an intern. It all depends pretty much on the professors, what exactly they are, planning to do, and also on the lab, the specific purposes of the lab and all of that. So it's very difficult to tell from my perspective about what others would like. So
Okay.
it's
Okay. But in general, ma'am, according to you, it is difficult to get internship with just undergraduate level of linguistics.
the people that I know, I don't know. Well, there are people, of course, but then at least a graduation degree is usually, if not masters, but a graduation degree is usually preferred because you need to have some amount of grounding, theoretical as well as practical, whatever the the subject may be. So yeah, usually everyone prefers at least graduation level of degree.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And one
Welcome.
question related to the course. I just did, the first time ever I gave the NEPTEL exam yesterday, and I was the format. I thought everyone was saying it would be MCQ, and 50 questions would be there. But the format was completely different in the real exam. They were like, I had to write, free form. I have to write the questions as well, 200 words, 300 words, and they were above 60 70 MCQs. So can I, is it
Which exam are you talking
ma'am,
about?
phonetics and phonology, ma'am, a broad
Okay,
perspective?
okay. That I cannot answer. That Professor Mahanta has to take up. I
No, no,
don't
ma'am,
know.
that is fine. It was a bit new for me, but I would like to. I don't know if it is legal or allowed. If you can tell me the pattern of the questions, like will they be only MCQs or is it completely secret or what?
For my course,
Yes, ma'am.
for
In
for
the
this
exam.
course, yeah, I'm thinking of having only MCQ. Yeah, but then it's open for us. We can actually ask you. There are only two possibilities: either MCQ or you combine MCQ with a few subjective type questions. So that is usually the pattern.
Okay,
But most probably it will be MCQ this time for me.
okay,
Only
okay.
MCQ, yeah.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for guiding me.
Okay, you're most welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, Priya Prabhakaran.
Yes,
Please.
good evening. Ma'am, I have had the opportunity to speak with you about outside the course. So thank you so much for helping me through personally.
You're
Ma'am,
welcome.
it's a very interesting course, I must say. And though difficult and confusing, thanks to you, it's really going well. But ma'am, I have a plethora of questions, if you don't mind.
Please go ahead. I'm here to answer questions only.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So, ma'am, schema was the part which I think it'll, I mean, of course, a lot of things will help my research. I'm working on memory studies. So,
Okay. Memory studies. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Memory studies from which perspective? Psychological? Psychology as in or literature?
memory studies, literature.
Okay. Okay.
So,
By any
I'm,
chance, are you in IIT Madras?
no, no.
Okay.
So, but I'm in touch with the professors. They're very kind too. So,
Yeah.
so of
Yeah.
course, I'm
Abhishek is
influenced.
a
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
He's a good
So,
friend of ours.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So they were definitely influential
Mhm.
in my selection of choice and decision of topics and everything. So, ma'am, I'm wondering. Of course, I can see that metaphor is definitely helping me in understanding, how we, analyze things from the perspective of memory as well. So, and at the same time, schema is something that has confused me a little after frames because I'm wondering what exactly would the difference be. Though you have tried to explain how frame and schema is different from each other, I would like to maybe seek help from you. Can't really understand the difference. So
So frame. I mean, to put it very simply, like as I speak in class, to put it very very simply, like in a layman's term, if I have to compare frame with the schema, is frame would be the body and the schema is the skeleton. sort of.
Okay.
So, you know, in a frame, you have all the information in your head already there. So if you think of life as a journey, so the journey, the very word journey, activates the frame, and that frame includes all kinds of information. For example, the different kinds of journeys you might have undertaken, long journeys or short, going from your home to the college and stuff, and then all the other things that are not necessarily overtly part of your sentence or overtly there in the discussion, but it is still there, and all that information is activated as in there available for use. For example, if I just say in an experimental term, if I say the journey from Guwahati to Chennai, let's say, was not Chennai, let's put it Guwahati to Coimbatore was tiresome. Now this might mean various things, and anybody who has traveled between Guwahati and Coimbatore will know that there is a change of flight, and that the Coimbatore airport is very small, and all of that. And then timing, and because it is a 3-hour flight from here to Chennai, and then you change flight and then take a small flight from Chennai to Coimbatore and all of that. Even though we might not use all this extra information in the sentence, these things are already there in your mind. But somebody who has never traveled between these 2 points will not know all of that. They will just think, okay, when this is of course a long distance, Guwahati is here in the northeast, Chennai is in the south, so of course it might be a tedious flight. So as a result of which, frame depends very much on the person as in the person who is undertaking that experience. Even though broad strokes might be similar, but as you go on experiencing your life, it's always a recurring experience in life. Many things happen over and over again with minute changes maybe. So your frame gets bigger and bigger, or let's say richer and richer. However, the frame, so you have this information part of it, the experiential part of it, the mental psychological experience, all of that will be part of your frame. But at the level of schema, it is very simple. There are 2 points. There is Guwahati, there is Chennai, and then there is Coimbatore, and there is the direction of the the journey, and that is it. So end point, starting point, end point, and there is a path. Very schematic, very rudimentary, very skeletal representation of the experience is what is called schema. But in linguistics, it's called image schema. So we have this almost, well, it is not exactly an image because we don't have a detailed picture sort of thing, but in a very skeletal way. So that is the difference. That is the primary difference. So basically we build up the frame on the schemas. That is exactly why the schema can be same for various kinds of experiences, be it physical or non-physical, abstract. That is why we can map one experience onto another and create a metaphor. So when we have a metaphor like life is a journey, that is not exactly how we talk about it. We may say, we have a long way ahead, or we are at the crossroads and all of that. Underlying representation, underlying mapping is that you are mapping your life experience on the experience of a journey. Now, this mapping is possible because both journey and life have the same image schema. At the fundamental level, at the schematic level, at a rudimentary structural level, the schema is same. However, the frames are slightly different, and that is why we can map one onto another and understand one in terms of the other. So understanding the abstract in terms of the concrete. That is what happens. Similarly, you have other schemas like this up and down, the horizon, the verticality, the orientational metaphors. So prices go up, prices come down. Again, the schema is same. So you have a vertical orientation. That is all you have to go by. But then the frames are it can be mapped onto one another. So that is basically the difference. One is the fleshed out version of the other. To put it very, very simply. Of course, we can go on and on. There are papers and papers written on this, but this is the baseline.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. My next question would be: is disembodied symbolic cognition the same?
Yes,
Okay.
they are called by different names. Initially, it was called symbolic cognition. It is still called symbolic cognition, but when embodied cognition came into being, came into existence, then this embodied cognition also was used. So they are interchangeably used, yes.
Okay. Ma'am, and there was some questions on Diax's perspective, subjective, objective. So the question went like this. In dash, the semantic meaning remains fixed and the denotational meaning changes. So,
Okay.
I thought it was subjective, but then they say that it's Diax. I don't know what the word means, Diax.
Okay, Diaxis, this was which module?
Module 1, it is outside the module. So this question was asked outside the module. So,
Okay, there is a percentage of questions that will not be directly from the slides.
yeah.
But yeah, Diaxis is the things like here, there, the pronouns, and then the the adverbs of place and time. So here and there, here here and there, now and then, and I, you. So Deixis basically refers to those terms in the language that can talk about things that are that from the perspective of the speaker's position. So for example, if I say that there is this there are those stories, no, all times, that there is a bottle floating in the sea and it reaches the shore, and then you take the bottle out, and inside there is a chit, there is a piece of paper, meet me here. So what is this here? Where is this here? This is Deixis. So the Deixis, the meaning of the word here and there is entirely based on the speaker's position. So who said this? The person who is who is reading the chit now, for him or her, the here is the seashore. But the person who wrote, probably in some other place, probably in the somebody dropped it from a shape or something. So that for them here was that other position, other place. Similarly, in case of I think you have this thing, no, in which module, I don't right now exactly remember. We have this frame of orientation, frame of reference, FOR.
Yes, yes.
So FOR is, so when you have in FOR, the Deixis comes under relative frame of reference. So relative frame of reference is based on the position, orientation of the speaker, ego. So right now I have this computer screen in front of me. So when I say I have a computer screen in front of me, it is in front because it is in front of the speaker, me, and behind me there is this almari. Now this is based entirely on my position and my orientation, because I am looking towards the computer, hence it is in front of me. Because because the almari is my back is towards the almari, that is why it is behind me. So similarly, dialectic words. So I and you. So you is the person who the speaker addresses. Is not the speaker himself or herself. He or she is the referent, third person, who about whom the discussion is going on. Similarly, here, there, and now and then. So now is the time of speaking by the speaker, not by somebody else. So all of these are, so the denotational meaning changes. So what is here? Here means the place of action, but the denotational meaning is the place of action of the speaker. So because the speaker changes, the denotational meaning also changes.
Okay. Thank you.
I hope I have given that. Okay.
Yes. Can I ask the next question? Or should I? There's somebody else also.
Yes. Go ahead.
So, ma'am,
maybe you can ask.
Yeah. Okay. So, the next question is regarding dynamic construals and static construals.
What they are?
I mean that was asked. Then it's not. It's a little outside. So, not.
Yeah. Construal, see, almost the entire course is about construal. Construal as in how you create. So I think the course starts with the claim that there is no a priori, objective truth in the world. I mean, apart from the sun rises in the east kind of thing, in the human world, there is a lot of subjectivity. In terms of how languages represent them. So you can actually create a construal, you can create a different, as if it is like that kind of a thing. That is what construal means. So static and dynamic construal is looking at the same thing. You can, it might be a static thing, and you can, simply by changing the way you use the language, you can give it a dynamic feel, so to say. So in one classic example of that is fictive motion sentences. Fictive motion sentences are universal. Every language has them. And typically they are used for river, for roads, for fence, things like that. So it's very common to say in any Indian language, you pick up and you will find an equivalent sentence of the road goes from here to there. The road goes from point A to point B. Now, all of us know that roads don't go anywhere. Rivers at least go, in some sense they go. Rivers are both, static and dynamic at the same time. But roads don't go. Now, this very use of the word go, by basically using a verb instead of a noun, we are almost saying that there is a dynamicity in the picture. So we are creating dynamism by simply changing the language. And similarly, the opposite can also happen. So the collapse of London Bridge is a very commonly given textbook example. So collapse of London Bridge. Now, a collapsing of something is an event. Any event has a temporal sequence, meaning it happens over a period of time. So when you see those, those controlled explosions that happened in Noida or around that place, those the buildings came down. So buildings, any kind of collapse of anything takes a bit of time, few seconds to a few minutes, something like that. So it is automatically a dynamic thing. If it takes time, there's a temporal window to it, then it's a dynamic thing. However, if you just use a noun instead of a verb to describe the same thing, it kind of creates brings it down, brings it to a smaller. It kind of contracts the entire thing into a smaller unit. So this is what we call summary scanning versus dynamic scanning. So you don't spend much time. So the collapse versus it collapsed, it creates different thing in your mind. This has been already worked on by different kinds of probes. Neuroscience has already looked at it. So this is what we mean. So static scene, the road lying down between two cities, lying down as in existing between two places, is a static thing. But we can talk about it as if there is a movement. On the other hand, any kind of dynamic thing happening, dynamic events can be summarized, so to say, by using a noun instead of a verb. So that is the difference between static and dynamic construal.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome. Dhanya Sudarshanan, you may please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. Hope I'm audible and clear.
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, the way you respond so fast for the queries even on Sundays is really appreciated, ma'am. So
thank you.
I really want to make use of this. Thank you. And the course has been very interesting so far, but I have some questions regarding the assignments, 3 or 4 questions which I have marked, where I could not really connect with the answers given. So shall I ask?
Please go ahead. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, something related to what Priya asked just now. There was a question, alternate construals are possible because of, and there are some options, out of which there is linguistic relativity, linguistic determinism, schematic representations, and sign language. And the right answer was schematic representations. So
I think we did answer this. This question was asked by somebody else also. This is because of the construal. Yes.
Awesome. I think I was the person who mailed you.
Okay. So yes. So the answer was relativity, right, Priya? That's what I had answered.
The right
Yes.
answer given on assignment feedback is schematic representation.
There was some confusion. So there were some errors by my TA while putting up the assignments. So there were some queries. There were some revisions suggested. I think this question was also there. Did you answer relativity?
I think I answered linguistic determinism. Sorry, linguistic relativity.
I think that is what many people answered, and that is the right answer also.
Yeah,
And
so that was the confusion. Basically, that was my question: how it is schematic representations.
No, we are already. Sorry for this. We are already working on this. This will be revised. This is already in the process. There were some errors. There were some errors because my TA is she's new, so there were some errors.
Okay, ma'am, that's okay. Thank you. And one more question. This concept of priori and a priori. There is no meaning in the universe apart from some of the universal truths like rotation and revolution of the earth. So the answer was a priori. When I was trying to find out the meaning and I couldn't actually distinguish clearly between priori and a priori.
Priori was also an option or what? I mean, a priori means there is no given.
Options. Sorry, ma'am. Can you repeat?
Actually, I was going to ask you to repeat the question. The question was.
Yeah, I'll repeat. Definitely, I'll make it. Sorry, I was very fast, I guess. There is no meaning in the universe apart from some of the universal truths like rotation and revolution of the earth. The options are semantic, pragmatic, priori, and a priori.
A priori should be the option because meaning that there is no apart from the, of course, apart from those questions, those facts that already are understood. Other than that, there is no a priori truth in terms of human understanding of the world. So based on the languages, often it happens. Of course, there are universal understanding of what is anger and what is happiness, but there are minute changes possible. So I think I did discuss this in terms of happiness. So happiness is quite often one of the universal metaphors for happiness is being off the ground, above ground. So you're flying, you are somewhere in the cloud nine or all of that. However, there are languages that make subtle changes. So the flowers inside your heart kind of thing in Chinese or in Japanese, they're very different, which is not there in many other languages. So that is what we mean by there is no a priori truth in terms of these constructs where language plays a role. That is what we meant. So the answer is priori. Why, I don't know why priori and a priori were given an option. I have to go back. I will go back to the
correct answer is priori. That's what you're saying, ma'am.
A priori, yes. With an A before that. Yes.
Okay. So priori means the opposite of that. So priori actually means the opposite of a priori, or what?
Actually, only priori doesn't exist. Either it's usually.
That's what. When I was searching, googling it, I was very confused because both of these words were kind of
It was a trick question.
Okay. So basically, it means that there is no fixed meaning for anything other than in a case of these universal truths.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
That's a huge claim to make, but I think we back it up with some data in many domains.
Okay, and one more, ma'am, that would be my last question. That's also regarding one of the assignment questions. So there was one question which was prototype gave a good example of. The options are classical theory, componential theory, referential theory, and both 1 and 2. 1 and 2 means classical theory and componential theory. And the answer was both 1 and 2. Prototype gave a good example of classical theory and componential theory. So I didn't actually get what componential theory is. I think it was not explained.
Even I have to go back to this question. Prototypes are different from classical theory. So it doesn't really give an example of classical theory. Can you mention the module and the part this was?
I think it was the first module. I have to check that, ma'am.
Prototype, so it should be first module.
Yeah, I
it should
think
be
it's first module.
Categorization, no?
Yeah, we discussed that classical model where the condition was necessary and sufficient, and there is prototype model. So this question didn't make any sense to me, so I just selected something like referential theory or something. I don't remember actually, but the answer was.
I doubt I have talked about componential theory. Did I talk about componential theory?
No,
I don't think so.
I will go back to it, and you can use you can mail me directly. I will keep a. I will get back to you. I need to check this with my with the questions and what exactly what happened actually.
So okay, not good. Thank you so much, ma'am. That will be all. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, if I could ask one more question.
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Talking about good example, you said that there are some good examples, there are bad examples, and you spoke of the goodness of exemplar. So in that case, a good example of prototype of bird category would be a crow rather than a penguin or an ostrich, right? Or does it depend on language or place?
Yes, it does depend on. So if you live in a place where penguins are the most visible bird, then you might as well use penguin as an example of bird. But in India, we will never do that. So how do we know prototype? There are those tests that were done. So the prototype changes. That is why it is called a prototype, because it is dependent on the place. A place, as in place, is here a very general term. Place means language and the culture. So depending on where you are, for example, here in Assam, you ask anybody to name reptiles. People will rattle off names of reptiles like anything, because there are so many of them, so many types of them here. Similarly, but people who live in cities, I mean, even here, I mean, I live in a campus, so it is full of forests and lots of flora and fauna, so I can have lots of names. But people living in the city, in the same Guwahati city, may not know so many of them. So it's a simple thing like that. So in Indian scenario, a prototypical bird would be could be crow, could be sparrow, could be the myna and those things, but not a penguin. But people living closer to penguins might name penguin as a typical bird. Ostrich, people living near ostrich or emu, for example. You ask somebody in New Zealand, they will have all kinds of different names of birds for typical birds. So that is the difference. Yes.
What is the goodness of it?
Goodness of exemplar is anything that fits the bill. So in that takes care of all the main features. So bird, of course, all birds are same in the essential, in the classical theory. However, the crow is the best example in given, let's say, 5 examples of emu and ostrich and penguin, an eagle and crow. Let's say we have 5 examples. In here, crow is the prototypical because this is the best example. So goodness of exemplar is something that is the best example of a category in a given socio-cultural linguistic background. So the same thing might apply. I mean, there is no way we can actually say no, penguin is not a good enough category of bird, or dates are not a good enough category of fruits, like that. They are as much dates are as much a fruit as mango is. But it all depends. So the goodness of exemplar depends on the language and place, as in the socio-cultural. Basically, this all boils down to the natural environment also. So in order to, every place has its own natural flora and fauna. So these things depend on that. Similarly, at an abstract level, what is good, what is bad, those things also change. That is why we have so much of misunderstanding around the world. So because what is doable, what is fine for one culture may not be fine for another culture. So goodness of exemplar of that category changes depending on the place. So that is what we meant by place, and then a broad term place.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Dhanya, I'll get back to you after going through the assignment, and do drop me a mail. Just,
Sure. I'll
that
list all these questions. I mean, not that confusing 2 questions and mail to you.
Okay, right. So
Option.
I'll be able to answer you in a more detail there. I'll do that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Then regarding the question exam, so I'm hoping that they will be MCQs, or how would the pattern be so that we can prepare?
It will be MCQ as far as I'm thinking of MCQ only. No long answer type MCQ. MCQ, there might be MSQ also, so you just have to be careful that if there is an MSQ, in case there is an MSQ, which I don't know as of now, but MSQ means there might be more than one option. So in that case, you have to take both for it to be considered a correct option, a correct answer.
Okay.
Any other question? In any case, if there are doubts, questions, you are always free to send me an email. I will get back to you as quickly as I can. And sometimes I might take a little bit of time because I might need to clarify things with my TAs. But I'll try and answer everything. So don't hesitate to mail me. I'm always there to answer.
Ma'am, in the exam, MCQ is usually a dot inside a circle, and MSQ would be a tick in a square. Like, how would I differentiate?
No, MSQ, I don't know the way those things are technically managed. MSQ, the difference between MCQ and MSQ is MSQ is multiple select
Yes.
question. So there might be 2 options. So you just whether it is a dot or whatever, you put a dot in for 2 options. That's it.
So will it be mentioned? Select all that
yes.
apply or something.
Yes. No, it will be mentioned. If it is an MSQ question, it will be mentioned that it is an MSQ. If it is an MCQ, it will be mentioned it is an MCQ.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I think there is no more question. We can then wrap up the session.
Sure, ma'am. We'll mail if there is anything else. Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome. Okay. Hope you are enjoying the course, and as it progresses, it might get a little more complicated. There might be more questions. So as I said, don't hesitate. You can always write. Sometimes what happens, if it is in the forum, I might be busy, so I might not be able to. So it is always a good idea to also send me an email. Do not hesitate to send me an email. I am. It might get a little more complex in the later part of the course. There.
We have reached week 6 now, and neuroscience and all of it. Definitely new, but challenging, of course. But then, thanks to you, it's getting interesting also. So it's actually very exciting also. Thank you so much.
Okay, that's nice to hear that. It's because when technical, because in these cases, people from different, all of you are from different backgrounds, so many things are new for you. So that's why I said that it might be. So yeah, I hope I have been able to make it as
definitely. I was reading the book. It was getting a little difficult, but then as you speak, and this is my first NPTEL course, so the kind of explanation is really helpful. I'm glad. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think I'll use incredibly. Thank you.
Yeah, to add on to what Priya said, yes, it's becoming a little more complicated, but I think everything is interdisciplinary these days. So
Yes.
That matters a lot when you connect things and look at it rather than looking from one angle alone. So when we looked into the book, it was a little confusing, but now I think the portions which are relevant to our topic is pick and place. So that is much better. It is very interesting.
Thank you. I'm so glad you like it. And also there are lots of references given at the end of each module. So if anybody is interested, you can always, read up more and
sure.
brush up.
Is waiting incredibly for this live session. I'm glad all my questions are answered. Thank you.
I'm happy I could answer everything. And also in future, there are confusions. I'm always there. You can always shoot a mail.
Thank
you. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all. So maybe we can wrap up. Rekha, should we?
Ma'am, just last question. Ma'am, regarding the answer you gave to Miss Priya, you said that some questions won't be there in the slides.
Directly, you have to understand. Yes.
Okay, so I cannot rely on the slides. I have to see the lectures completely for that.
I mean, when I said it is not from the slides, I meant it is not directly there. It is there. It has been discussed. So basically, the idea is that part of the questions will be from, you can immediately go back to the slide and identify this is the answer to this question kind of thing. Some of the questions are as per rule are created in such a way to check whether you have understood the concept above and beyond what is just there on the slides. So at the conceptual level, how much of clarity you have been able to achieve. That is what a percentage of questions are always kept aside for that kind of questions. So that is why we always add a few questions from that perspective. So it's not like it's not in the slide money. It's not it's not there in the course at all. It is there, but you have to little bit of you have to understand the concept, connect things, connect the dots, and create your own understanding, derive your own understanding of it. That it's based on those things. So that is what.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we have been able to answer all questions. So we'll now wrap up. I will request the NPTEL team IIT Guwahati to guide us what to do. Should we just leave?